Hi class, it's Dr. Anderson here. So I wanted to take a moment and talk to you about the upcoming module. We just closed out our first module. Today is closing, so it closed at 8. If you need a little more time to get something done, I understand, some of you still getting acclimated to the semester. Some of you, this is your first time in college. So I have extended it. It is still open. Try to get it in by the end of the day though. We're moving on to chapters 3 and 4. A couple things I wanted to highlight is that first you would notice that the textbook. Some of you have contacted me, you're actually using an older textbook. We are now on the 4th edition of this victimology book, so make sure you actually have the current edition. Although I would say that you're probably okay with the old edition, but you have to pay attention to the chapters. They have modified the chapters, so chapter 3 in the old edition may be chapter 5 in this edition. So make sure you pay attention to that. And when it comes to data, you may have some outdated data that's included in that textbook. However, this module, I did post some PowerPoint, so I'm hoping that that will assist some of you if you have the older text. In addition, not in lieu of reading, you still need to read your book, but in addition to help you with that. So make sure you have the current textbook. Make sure that you're reading the chapters prior to actually trying to take your quiz, or at least skimming them, highlighting it. Don't try to take the quiz while you're reading it. So read, get an understanding, then take your quiz. You have 2 attempts. Each attempt is 45 minutes, so there's no rush. Make sure you have the material. In chapter 3, we're starting to look at how do we get the data and the information about crimes? How do we know that 50 crimes happen in this area? How do we know every 20 seconds a murder is actually committed? So that's what we're talking about in this chapter, chapter 3. And we're talking about there are a multitude of surveys and techniques that are utilized to actually retrieve this information. So this is designed to give you an overview of what is the UCR, for example, who created it, what's the purpose of it, and then what are some of the flaws with it. Then you have the crime victimization survey. What is that? Who created that? Who's responsible for it? And then what are some of the flaws with it? So it's going to actually outline the different measurements of how you measure crime and how we get that information. The discussion board for that chapter, I'm actually putting you in the role of creating a technique to gather information. So after you've read the chapter and learned about some of the flaws and some of the issues with the different techniques, your discussion board says for you to devise a program. So you're coming up with a one-page, just a series of questions that you would say if you were interviewing or talking to a victim. What is some pertinent information you feel that you should have with that? So that's what you're doing in that chapter. Then we go on and we start talking about the victims and how victims are victimized beyond physical victimization. So we're talking about the mental disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, different things like that. Looking at disease and if there's a difference. And your 2 discussion boards there are asking you to look at not mental illness, I'm sorry, look at HIV and see if things should be judged differently, if it should be taken into account. Remembering when you answer that question, some states it is a crime if you know you have HIV and engage in something to actually spread it. So just read that chapter, make sure you have an understanding of those 2 aspects of it. Again, we're on chapters 3 and 4 in this text. It's open for 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks. Hopefully you're taking time to read and make sure you understand everything. As always, I am here. If you need to contact me, feel free to give me a call, or you can shoot me an email and I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. I think I've been doing pretty good within the 24-hour range, but if not, definitely within 24 to 48 hours. So I hope you enjoy this discussion board. This is an opportunity for kind of a little bit of opinion with justification behind it. Again, make sure you're adhering to the word requirement for the discussion board and the replies. That's critical. Make sure you're doing that and make sure that you're actually putting something with substance in. Another thing I wanted to say is with your discussion boards, make sure you run it for a spell check. Now, I know sometimes I have typos in my emails. I'm typing fast. I understand. So I am definitely not looking to take off points because I understand. But I will start analyzing and looking at that. So make sure you actually take time, put it in Microsoft Word, run a spell check grammar, and then paste it into Blackboard to help with that. It helps so your fellow students can actually understand what you're communicating. So I hope you enjoyed watching this little video. I'm trying to get a little better with videos, incorporating technology in my classes. In the future, I hope to actually record myself lecturing on some of the material. Right now, I just want to give an overview of material. I may highlight a couple different things. So again, feel free to give me a call or email if you have any other questions. If not, I'll talk to you soon.